Guys, I want to bring up this, obviously Activision Blizzard now, not officially because the deal hasn't closed yet, but soon to be owned by Microsoft. We expect, at least, assuming the deal closes. And so in that context, I thought we could transition to a story about Microsoft and their gaming revenues this quarter. And what was interesting is Q4 gaming revenues declined for Microsoft, but Game Pass grows. A couple of the other numbers from this: 4 million people have streamed Fortnite via Xbox Cloud Gaming, and 1 million of those were new to Microsoft's ecosystem. So some of the highlights here: gaming revenues fell by 7%, or 259 million. Xbox business still generated well over 3 billion during the quarter. What they're saying is the decline was due to content and services revenue drop, lower engagement hours and monetization in Microsoft's own titles and third party. However, it says Game Pass subscription showed growth during the quarter. Hardware revenue also down 11%, but Satya Nadella reiterated that the console is the market leader in North America and has outsold PlayStation 5 for 3 consecutive quarters now. So Game Pass is up, but overall revenue is down. And the question I have for you guys is, because we've talked about Game Pass many times. Lindsay, my question for you is are we starting to see that even if Game Pass grows, if Microsoft loses in other areas, that maybe the Game Pass growth long-term won't make up for losses in other places? Does that make sense? Like,
it does.
We tout we're all excited about Game Pass growth, but is this quarter sort of proof that that's maybe not good enough?
I think this quarter is a regression to the mean from the past 2 years of everyone being stuck inside and streaming a lot more hours of games and spending a lot more hours on gameplay. I think that a lot of gaming companies are looking at declines as compared to 2020 and 2021, just because people are actually spending their time elsewhere, whether it's work or play, being able to go outside again, and especially when we're talking about like Q3 spring summer, Q2 and Q3 spring summer engagement kind of hours and whatever. So I think it's too soon to tell. If this is a trend that continues, I think that Netflix, like when we think about like subscription-based businesses in general, Netflix has shown that it's not necessarily just enough to keep adding subscribers to keep you afloat. Obviously, content is a huge part of it. So the Activision Blizzard merger is like huge for Game Pass subscriptions. But the second big part of it is other streams of revenue from that. Like Netflix has never added advertising, and now they're hemorrhaging subscribers. So I think that Game Pass has another probably 3 to 5 years of actual seeing what the trends are and seeing how they grow before it can make a judgment as to whether it's enough to keep other parts of the business that may be losing money afloat. But I can definitely see a future in which that's true, depending on how they continue to monetize. Obviously, they can do really massive exclusive content drops now if the Activision merger goes through. So that's huge. But it'll be interesting to see what the monetization model of that is, if they decide to add an advertising revenue, if they, as Netflix has done, keep inching up the subscriber cost month over month or year over year, as Netflix has schemily done. So I think it's definitely too early to tell, but I can see a future in which that's true.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of a nuance just in the fact that there weren't that many big games that were put out. So I think that's why you're seeing the top line numbers down. You've also still had some supply chain issues last quarter in terms of the hardware. So maybe that has hurt year-over-year sales a little bit. But the numbers that I wanted to point out were that you kind of went through them quickly. Did you notice the streaming, like xCloud numbers you read? So I wrote them down quickly. So I think it was 4 million people streamed Fortnite on xCloud, and 1 million of those were new to Xbox, which both those numbers are kind of mind-blowing to me because, number one, 4 million people using xCloud like seems like a lot. I mean, that's got to be like more than Stadia ever got. So that's number one. And then number 2,
times more than Stadia ever got.
Like that's an impressive number. And then the fact that I don't know, maybe this is just a quirk in the data, but like the fact that 1 million people streamed xCloud that were new to Xbox is interesting. That means that's the first way they got into the Xbox ecosystem, which is a much higher number than I ever would have thought. 25%, if I'm understanding it correctly, 25% of those people were new to Xbox. That's actually a really big bull case for cloud gaming, if you think about it, because I would have thought that most of the people using xCloud were people who already had an Xbox and were just trying it out kind of for shits. So I don't know, the million new was actually impressive to me.
But didn't we call this? Didn't we say cloud gaming was for like ultra beginner, ultra casual, sort of as a gateway drug? And this is why Stadia sort of never made sense. It's like, decide who you want to be. Is it, the replacement for your $10,000 PC, or is it for, grandson to play something when he's over at grandma's, right? I feel like this proves the use case for cloud as a funnel for maybe more casual gamers to gaming and to a brand like Xbox. It kind of proves the point, no?
I think it does, but I don't think that's how most people see it. I think most people see it as more of like an add-on portability, and then maybe something like a cool gimmick for like the hardcore players. So I do think it's really interesting data, and that I think we may have called that, but I don't think that's the prevailing, narrative.
Matt here says, agree with Lindsay. A lot of gaming companies are coming back down to earth after experiencing record growth during 2020 and 2021. This is true. I think Sony's gaming numbers were also down a bit. It's not that interesting of a story, but also sort of saw a similar trajectory. Matt says this follows suit with the current trends in the industry. At least they don't have to downsize like some other industry members. It's also true. Ricky Holmes says Microsoft could be thinking long-term in terms of Game Pass. Games are still delayed. Yeah, and I think Jeff mentioned this also, right? Just a lot of games have come out, but for Game Pass long term, I mean, that subscriber base, if it continues to grow, will be powerful. To Lindsay's point, they have to keep feeding the beast, though, right? You stop feeding the beast with new content, people find reasons to unsubscribe. Lindsay,
there's also so many dangerous decisions to make there in terms of what is exclusive and what isn't. So I'm curious to see how it plays out, I guess, is the best way of saying it. Because they have a lot of power to make a lot of very impactful decisions. And I will be interested to see which direction they decide to go with those.
This is true. Chris says wheat sales went down in Nevada year over year, for crying out loud. Clearly, this is all post-COVID fallout. Chris, I don't know. Are wheat sales the bellwether? Is that the canary in the coal mine? Wenji Lee says, isn't this because the only way to play Fortnite on Apple is to do it through xCloud? Love this slot, by the way. Haven't made a live so far recently. Wenji, great to see you back. And I'm happy you like this time slot. You're right. But I thought you could also do it through, if I'm not mistaken, through NVIDIA. Yeah, GeForce Now
but
also.
He's got a point that you can't play it on Apple.
True. I mean, that's a great insight. Maybe that's what drove a lot of the 4 million.
Now we have to know what GeForce Now numbers are. I wonder if the GeForce Now numbers saw some type of big jump because of that.
I think I had seen, maybe you guys can look it up quickly, but I think I had seen GeForce Now numbers from NVIDIA saying, yes, I did see this. So in their earnings call, GeForce Now doubled its membership in the past year to over 14 million subscribers. This was as of end of 2021. So
it's almost like exclusive content drives downloads. Who would have thought, Stadia?
Who would have thought? I mean, but it's a great point that has probably driven people into the very embracing arms of NVIDIA GeForce Now and Xbox Cloud.